United Nations. The Ali bin Abi Talib considered fairest ruler who appeared during human history after the Prophet Muhammad. April 19, 2020. UN Secretariat, the Committee of Human Rights in New York under the chairmanship of the Secretary-General Kofi Annan issued, in 2002 Anno Domini, this historic resolution. The Caliph Ali bin Abi Talib is considered the fairest governor who appeared during human history after the Prophet Muhammad. UN declaration was based on documents of 160 pages in English. For this reason, the World Organization for Human Rights called the rulers of the world to follow the example of his sound and humanitarian method in the ruling, which revealed the spirit of social justice and peace. It was mentioned that the famous American writer Michael Hamilton was acquainted with the administrative instructions that the Caliph Imam Ali gave to Malik al-Ashtar when he appointed him ruler for Egypt in 656 Anno Domini, urging him to treat people, who were not Muslims, with charity and beneficence, confirming the necessity of equality among the Jews and Christians with Muslims in rights and tasks. He showed his high admiration for his wise policy that made him enter the history of humanity from its broad doors. The United Nations has advised Arab countries take Imam Ali bin Abi Talib as an example in establishing a regime based on justice and democracy and encouraging knowledge. The UNDP in its 2002 Arab Human Development Report, distributed around the world, listed 6 sayings of him about ideal governance. They include consultation between the ruler and the ruled, speaking out against corruption and other wrongdoings, ensuring justice to all, and achieving domestic development. The UNDP said most regional countries are still far behind other nations in democracy, wide political representation, women's participation, development, and knowledge. The UNDP quoted the following sayings of him in its 2002 Arab Human Development Report. 1. He who has appointed himself an imam, ruler of the people, must begin by teaching himself before teaching others. His teaching of others must be first by setting an example rather than with his words, for he who begins by teaching and educating himself is more worthy of respect than he who teaches and educates others. 2. Your concern with developing the land should be greater than your concern for collecting taxes, for the latter can only be obtained by developing, whereas he who seeks revenue without development destroys the country and the people. 3. Seek the company of the learned and the wise in search of solving the problems of your country and the righteousness of your people. 4. No good can come out in keeping silent to the government or in speaking out of ignorance. 5. The righteous are men of virtue, whose logic is straightforward, whose dress is unostentatious, whose path is modest, whose actions are many, and who are undeterred by difficulties. 6. Choose the best among your people to administer justice among them. Choose someone who does not easily give up, who is unruffled by enmities, someone who will not persist in wrongdoings, who will not hesitate to pursue right once he knows it, someone whose heart knows no greed, who will not be satisfied with the minimum of explanation without seeking the maximum of understanding, who will be the most steadfast when doubt is cast, who will be the least impatient in correcting the opponent, the most patient in pursuing the truth, the most stern in meting out judgment, someone who is unaffected by flattery and not swayed by temptation, and these are but few. Ref. Arab Human Development Report 2002. Good Governance Early Muslim Style. By Patricia Lee Sharp. This piece, which I posted to counter anti-Muslim hysteria during the Bush administration, is probably even more relevant today, when political convenience and ignorance are combining to create a toxic environment for Muslims in America. Ali bin Abi Talib, the fourth caliph and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad, wrote a long letter of guidance after appointing Malik al-Ashtar to be governor of Egypt. He advises the new governor that his administration will succeed only if he governs with concern for justice, equity, probity and the prosperity of all. Manifest religious tolerance. Amongst your subjects there are 2 kinds of people, those who have the same religion as you and are brothers to you, and those who have religions other than yours, who are human beings like you. Men of either category suffer from the same weaknesses and disabilities that human beings are inclined to. They commit sins, indulge in vices either intentionally or foolishly and unintentionally without realizing the enormity of their deeds. Let your mercy and compassion come to their rescue and help in the same way and to the same extent that you expect Allah to show mercy and forgiveness to you. Equity is best. A policy which is based on equity will be largely appreciated. Remember that the displeasure of common men, the have-nots and the depressed persons overbalance the approval of important persons, while the displeasure of a few big people will be excused. If the general public and the masses of your subjects are happy with you, the rich always want more. They are the people who will be the worst drag upon you during your moments of peace and happiness, and the least useful to you during your hours of need and adversity. They hate justice the most. They will keep demanding more and more out of state resources and will seldom be satisfied with what they receive and will never be obliged for the favor shown to them if their demands are justifiably refused. A healthy society is interdependent. The army and the common men who pay taxes are two important classes, but in a well-faring state their well-being cannot be guaranteed without proper functioning and preservation of the other classes, the judges and magistrates, the secretaries of the state, and the officers of various departments who collect various revenues, maintain law and order as well as preserve peace and amity among the diverse classes of the society. They also guard the rights and privileges of the citizens and look to the performance of various duties by individuals and classes. And the prosperity of this whole setup depends upon the traders and industrialists. They act as a medium between the consumers and suppliers. They collect the requirements of society. They exert to provide goods. Then comes the class of the poor and the disabled persons. It is absolutely necessary that they should be looked after, helped and provided. At least the minimum necessities for well-being and contented living. Ensure an honest judiciary. You must select people of excellent character and high caliber with meritorious records. When they realize that they have committed a mistake in judgment, they should not insist on it by trying to justify it. They should not be corrupt, covetous or greedy. They should not be satisfied with ordinary inquiry or scrutiny of a case, but must attach the greatest importance to reasoning, arguments, and proofs. They should not get tired of lengthy discussions and arguments. They must exhibit patience and perseverance, and when the truth is revealed to them they must pass their judgments. These appointments must be made without any kind of favoritism being shown or influence being accepted. Otherwise tyranny, corruption and misrule will reign. Let the judiciary be above every kind of executive pressure or influence, above fear or favor, intrigue or corruption. Poverty leads to ruination. If a country is prosperous and if its people are well-to-do, then it will happily and willingly bear any burden. The poverty of the people is the actual cause of the devastation and the ruination of a country, and the main cause of the poverty of the people is the desire of its ruler and officers to amass wealth and possessions whether by fair or foul means. Corruption undermines national well-being. I want to advise you about your businessmen and industrialists. Treat them well, they are the sources of wealth to the country. One more thing, you must keep an eye over their activities as well. You know that they're usually stingy misers, intensely self-centered and selfish, suffering from the obsession of grasping and accumulating wealth. They often hoard their goods to get more profit out of them by creating scarcity and by indulging in black marketing. Stay in touch with the people. You must take care not to cut yourself off from the public. Do not place a curtain of false prestige between you and those over whom you rule. Such pretension and shows of pomp and pride are in reality manifestations of inferiority complex and vanity. The result of such an attitude is that you remain ignorant of the conditions of your subjects and of the actual cases of the events occurring in the state. Peace brings prosperity. If your enemy invites you to a peace treaty, never refuse to accept such an offer, because peace will bring rest and comfort to your armies, will relieve you of anxieties and worries, and will bring prosperity and affluence to your people. But even after such treaties, be very careful of the enemies, and do not place too much confidence in their promises. Be vigilant, because they often resort to peace treaties to deceive and delude you and take advantage of your negligence, carelessness and trust. At the same time, be very careful never to break your promise with your enemy. Never forsake the protection or support that you have offered to him, never go back upon your word, and never violate the terms of the treaty. History reveals all. Do not reserve for yourself anything which is a common property of all and in which others have equal rights. Do not close your eyes from glaring malpractice of officers, miscarriage of justice and misuse of rights, because you will be held responsible for the wrong thus done to others. In the near future, your wrong practices and maladministration will be exposed, and you will be held responsible and punished for the wrong done to the helpless and oppressed people.